Rolling Tin Fist.
Hello, man. Happy 4th of July. I hope you're enjoying your freedom and independence wherever you are. I wanted to talk about one podcast and one article I came across over the last week. First is the podcast from NPR's On Point program. It's starring Mona Charen, who just released a book on how feminism failed us. The podcast is dated June 26, 2018. I will put a link to the podcast in the description. The second is a Wall Street Journal article dated today, July 4th. The title is What About the Cost of Working Fatherhood? Readers ask. And that's by Lauren Weber. I will put the link to that article as well in the description. I won't go into too much detail about both the podcast and the article. What I really want to talk about is this trend of where women in the media, whether they come on a radio show, they're journalists, whatever the case may be, we see them in the media coming to the realization that men are walking away in droves like they haven't been in the past. They're realizing that men, in the wake of the Me Too era, fourth wave feminism, are waking up in numbers they haven't before and are essentially saying, you know what, I'm done here. Whether they're married, whether they're single, whether they're retired, whatever the case may be. And I'm talking about men in general. Let's not even talk about men in the manosphere. I'm just talking about a guy who was happily doing what he was supposed to do, what he was sold that he ought to do as a man and was expected to get something in return, realizing that that hasn't panned out the way that was promised. A generation before, he might have been just content to throw his arms up and say, well, it is what it is, and I'll just hustle on, and hopefully I'll be able to retire and maybe die a year later. Fast forward to today, where men are just had it. A lot of men are just tired. Even men that may not have spoken up in the past realize, particularly with the Me Too era, how far it's gone. And it's gotten so far that women are realizing this. Now, particularly there are women who are either late Gen Xers or women in their baby boomer years. And it's also evident by the women who voted for Trump, which I think one statistic I read somewhere was that married women over 50, or something like that, I may have this wrong, but in essence, the demographic of married white women, over 50% voted for Donald Trump. And that was a shocker to people. And it is, but it isn't. Because these women are from a generation where they understood men and women, men are men and women are women. And they both have certain roles for that era. And if everybody does their part, things usually work out okay, right? Maybe not everybody gets everything they want, but typically, more often than not, it finds a way to work out. Yeah, I'm not saying, hey, everybody should go back to the 50s. What I'm saying is those women, when they were in their 20s, the world was very different than it is for women in their 20s today. Very different. And they were, quite frankly, feel better the way things were then because of how they were able to capitalize on that. Versus now, where you basically have the small segment of Me Too feminists that are essentially ruining it for these women, right? They're ruining it for them. And so they're starting to speak up. They're starting to realize, wow, men are waking up and they're just checking out. They're not getting married as much. They're not cohabitating as much. They're dropping out of the workforce as soon as they can. Or they might take a page out of the herbivore men of Japan and just choose not to associate at all or go monk mode. At any rate, women are starting to notice this more and more. And they're realizing if all these men continue to go their own way at the rate they're going, and I don't mean go their own way strictly in the MGTOW sense, but just saying, you know what, I'm going to do something different. If men keep going towards that direction, whether it leads to the manosphere, whether it means to them checking out, whatever the case may be, it means women will have to do a lot of the things men have been doing and men were happy doing before now. And that's the big fear. That's the real big fear, because the truth is, A lot of these women were just happy with the way things were back when men did most of the heavy lifting and the fighting and the firefighting and the crook chasing. And so there's this big swell of saying, hey, men are hurting too, right? And it feels good as a guy who's been through a lot of this drama. Hey, women now recognize that, we're useful. But I'll tell you this, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. It is always a great feeling when somebody validates what you already know, but don't be fooled. If you have any doubt, go Google a video of Lucy and Charlie Brown in football. Any of you familiar with the Peanuts cartoon? It's a scene where Lucy has a football and she says, Charlie Brown, come kick it. And he's wondering if she's going to pull the football or still have it there, because guess what? She usually pulls it away. But Charlie Brown keeps coming back. And so once again, Charlie Brown runs, and guess what? Lucy pulls the football, and Charlie Brown goes sailing into the air and falls to the ground. Except this time, what's happening is that Lucy has the football. She's saying, come kick it. We're going to fix this feminism thing. Come kick the football, Charlie Brown. And Charlie Brown is, I'm out. He's gone. He's probably gone MGTOW, but Charlie Brown isn't coming back.